Okay, we're going to start recording soon, and we're going to get started. But before that, for those who didn't hear me a few minutes ago, you have an option to hide all the non-video participants, so you don't see just a bunch of boxes with names on your screen. So to do that, go to video settings and then check the check box that says hide non-video participants, and then you'll only see should only see 6 boxes for our panelists today.
Jeff, thank you for your comment as a Mac user.
I see. Yeah, I just now saw that. On Mac, it says, preferences, menu, video. There you go. Nice. Thank you, Jeff. And I think we're ready to get started. Cherry, you ready to record? Oh, it looks like we're recording.
Yep,
Sorry.
we're recording.
Awesome. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this month's meetup. Hey there, Steve. Good to see you. And if I could ask our panelists to turn off your video. Sorry about that. we weren't able to set it up like that. But for tonight, we're just gonna try to keep just our participants in our video today. So yeah, what was I saying? Welcome to the meetup of the Nova SART, or the Northern Virginia Software Architecture Roundtable. And tonight we are gonna celebrate International Women's Day, which was this past Monday, and Women's History Month, which is this entire month of March. And before that, let me just introduce myself. My name is Diane Dean. I am a software engineer and manager here at Solution Street. And for those who don't know, Solution Street is a software consulting firm. We help companies build custom software for whatever their needs are for their businesses in whatever industry they're in. We help with web, mobile, and cloud applications. So yeah, we're gonna, so we're going back to International Women's Day. We want to celebrate that by doing a women's panel with some of our software engineers at Solution Street here today. So let's go ahead and introduce everyone. In the order of my view here, let me start with Srilata.
Hi, I'm Jayita Mitra, and I am a software developer and manager here at Solution Street. Pleasure to be here this evening.
Sorry, awesome. Larry.
Hi, everyone. My name is Larry Garcia, and I work as consultant at Solution Street for a year now. I've been working as developer for 15 years.
Awesome. Olga?
Hi, everybody. My name is Olga Lawrence. I am a software developer and consultant at Solution Street. I have been with Solution Street almost 5 years, and I started out here as an intern and converted into a software developer.
Awesome. Thank you. Jayita.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jayita Mitra. I'm a senior software consultant at Solution Street with over 14 years of software engineering experience. And this year, it's going to be my 10th year with Solution Street.
Nice. Congrats, by the way. And Kelly.
Hi, my name is Kelly Nyland. I'm a quality assurance engineer at Solution Street, and I have been a full-time employee for 7 years. An employee for 7 years.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Yeah, now that we know everybody, I think let's get started. Let's get right on our questions. And actually, just before I ask our first questions here, for our audience, if you have any questions for our panelists today, just type that in on our chat window here, and if I can squeeze it in, I'll mention it. Or at the end, we'll have more time for more Q&A for our panelists. So definitely type that in. All right, let's go. First things first. How did you get here in this field? In other words, what made you choose this field? Yes, Olga.
All right, I'll get us started. So if you guys have seen my tagline, I am an accidental software engineer, which is definitely a journey that I've had to go through. Back in my home country, I actually got a degree in accounting, which was probably one of those safe professions that a woman could get alongside a cook, a teacher, and a really weird amalgamation of all the office jobs taken together, just called office manager. Very mysterious, very popular. So one of the reasons I chose accounting is because I wanted to be closer to computers, but at the same time, I wanted to kind of avoid the ridicule of being in a male profession. So that was basically my safe route. And then fast forward a few years, when I came to the United States, I was actually planning to become a Russian teacher because it was my safe zone. And I just kind of joined one of these orientation groups. I'm like, hey, that'd be great. I'm just going to go follow these guys. They look like they're having fun. And that was computer science department orientation group. And I mean, I was a little bit older. I was a little bit braver after crossing the ocean. So you know what? I decided to take a chance. And this was probably the best accidental choice that I've made in my life.
I love that. I love that. Thanks,
Oh.
Olga. Srilata.
It wasn't quite that accidental for me. It was quite straightforward. I was good at math in school and I love solving problems. So engineering was a natural and easy choice for me after. I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and during our first year, we had a course, Introduction to Computer Programming, and I learned my very first programming language then. It was Pascal. I loved it, and then I've done my project too in the final year in C. And I think I knew then that I wanted to get into computer programming, computers. So during campus placements, I was recruited by one of the top ID firms in India. And then there was no looking back since then.
Awesome.
That
That's
was
so
mine.
beautiful. It's great. Jayita.
Well, for me, it was part accidental, part a choice. Initially, when I was in school, I really liked English. So I was thinking I'm going to be a journalist. However, later on, I took a lot of computer science courses, and then my interest completely switched. I was like, really, this is so interesting. This is what I want to do. So that's when I got totally hooked onto it. And the puzzle, it's kind of like a puzzle. You problem solve every day, and it's so exciting. So that's what my passion is now.
Awesome. Larry.
So for me, I'm like opposite of Jayita. It's like English is my least favorite. So back in senior year, I'm one of those students who like doesn't know what degree to take in college. So it's actually my sister who kind of like introduced me to computer science. And they said it's more math, logic, less English. It's like, oh, I'll take it. I'll take it. So I'll take it. I took the exam. I took a chance, and I enjoyed my first semester, second semester, and go on. And I like doing it. So I like math, working in computers, and I say it just click. And until now, I like doing computer programming. Yep.
Awesome. And Kelly, wanted to go next?
So I did not study programming in undergrad at all. I have a mining engineering degree, and I worked in that field until I went back and got a master's degree in computer information systems. And then I sort of pivoted to this industry, but I did take a long break while I raised my two daughters, and came back after, they were older, and have been at Solution Street since then.
That's awesome. I love all the answers there. Larry, math is a universal language. You can talk to anyone, any code, even if you can't speak, English so well, code can be understood by anyone in the world. So I love that. I love that you said, Kelly, that you took a break and you were able to come back, after those years that you raised your children or child. Sorry, I don't know. Sorry.
Two daughters.
Two daughters. There you go. Awesome. Children. And this field really, even if, this has proven that you can take a break if you choose your family at a certain stage in your life and you want to come back again, this is definitely a great field for that. And I love also, Srilata, I love that she knew it from the very beginning. She loved math, and that. And I definitely envy those who, and I know a lot of people like that as well. Like since they were young, they've been coding since they were like in grade school. Like I envy those people as well. I love that. I'm glad that even if we're all from different backgrounds, we can come together and do things that we like, today. So awesome.
I think we're in a generation now where kids are gonna start coding. I think I have a nephew that's like 10 years old. He already have his own laptop, and it's like doing Python. Oh my gosh, I don't know Python.
Yes.
So that's great. That's great.
Yeah, definitely. the earlier the age, they'll definitely learn coding earlier in their life. All right, so um, let's talk about current events for our first few questions here. I want to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, right? And I want to mention some statistics here that I have. More than 2 million women left the labor force in 2020. Women are now at the lowest workforce participation level since 1988. And another one here, in December 2020, the US economy lost 140,000 jobs. Guess how many of that were women? It was 100%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, women accounted for 100% of 140,000 jobs that were lost in December because of the pandemic, right? And I think what I'm trying to say here is um, the pandemic has affected all of us in different ways. You know, for per person, it's different. And for this group, luckily we're not part of the statistic that of the job loss number. So I want to ask, how has the pandemic affected you, and how are you adjusting to this new normal? Yes, Srilata.
Um, I've, I've always enjoyed working from home. I have the whole house to myself. I can work in my pajamas, and there's no traffic to deal with. It would seem like I had gained an hour or two in my day, a little bit more time for myself. But when the pandemic struck and everybody had to stay home, it started to feel very crowded. Now I get to spend all day, every day with my kids. I mean, I love my kids, but it started to become a little too much. And also that everything every day started to look like the day before. It sort of became like the Groundhog Day. And also the monotony, there's nothing different happening to break it. So Fridays didn't seem to hold the same kind of excitement for me anymore. And I never knew I'd miss driving the kids to their activities. So we had to get creative, establish boundaries, and give each other enough space, and at the same time spend quality time as family. So we took this as an opportunity to get back to long forgotten hobbies that would bring excitement and something to look forward to in our day-to-day lives. So that's how we've dealt with the pandemic.
Awesome. Kelly, you raising your hand?
Yes, I think my husband and I already worked from home before the pandemic, so our adjustment was adding the children into the mix. And the secret for us, for it all to work smoothly, was to make sure everybody had their own workspace, so everybody could have calls at the same time without disturbing anybody else. And that just requires a lot of communication and coordination. So we were fortunate that we didn't have to adjust too much, but we have survived quite well.
That's good. That's good to know. Olga.
So to be quite honest, I've always been an introvert. So when I was at the office, I tended to be that quiet kid that just sits there in the dark and maybe with a hood on and doesn't talk.
Yeah,
to
I see a hood, and that's Olga.
Yeah, the hood theme continues on. But I noticed one thing, that even so, now working remotely, as blessed as we are to have retained the jobs and to have continued to be productive, I'm actually missing the office environment. And I get to come into the office a couple of times a week, which is now kind of more or less a celebration almost of getting back into the workplace. But I was starting to get lonely sitting here all alone in the basement. So we got a puppy. If you guys might hear there's loud noise in the background, that's him drinking. And if before, this weird kid with a hood on, I would be sitting there and talking to a rubber ducky, now I talk to a puppy. So I think that's an upgrade in life quality. But yeah, I'm also definitely looking forward to the world getting back to normal and more water cooler talks and I don't know, just discussions with everybody about how our lives went.
Yeah, it's good. Jayita?
I think personally, what's kept me sane is I try to take breaks every few hours. And then I have a dog. You can see I don't know if you can see his pictures behind me.
Oh. Dog before kids pictures. I love that.
So I try to take breaks and spend time with him. It's kind of like a psychological, stress release. And then as a family, we try to go out for walks when the weather is nice. So we try to get out of the house, being cooped up in the house the whole day. Or if it's winter, then we go for long drives. And we try to do that every day so that just get out of the house and get some fresh air.
Yes, I love that. That's self-care right there. That's absolutely important, especially in these times. So good, good. I love also what Olga said, getting a puppy. I learned that I found out from the news that adoption centers for pets are running out of puppy or animals too for adoption, because everyone is adopting now because they have more time at home. So I guess that's a good thing. Despite the sad numbers that I mentioned, there's definitely still a lot of positive things to uh, yeah, to learn from this pandemic. Speaking of positive things, and since it's International Women's Day, I want to mention some more celebration of women information here. So there's been a lot of historic firsts in the past year or so. So for example, in the United States, we have our first woman of color vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris, right?
Yep.
In other countries too, which names I'm not going to attempt to pronounce, but Greece, Moldova, Estonia, they have their first women president or prime minister in their countries. So that's great. In the world of sports in the United States, we have Sarah Thomas, first female Super Bowl official. If you watched the Super Bowl recently, and first Black woman full-time NFL coach, Jennifer King, for the Washington football team. So definitely a lot of women to celebrate, just from the past year or so. I guess in relation to that, would you agree with me when I say that these women have support system around them to be able to achieve where they are today? You would agree, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah.
great. Yeah. So to apply that to you, what has made you feel that you have the support system around you? Jayita.
I think a lot of it has to do with the team that I've worked with. At Solution Street, that team is there. I mean, you cannot just work in space, if your team is not good enough and you have a lot of stress, you really cannot work towards it. I've always felt that I'm always felt included. I've never felt that because I'm a woman, I'm different. I feel like I'm a member of a team. So that has really helped me a lot. And then for my career growth, I've never felt any different than any other team member. There's a lot of opportunity for growth. Technologically, if you want, you can always approach your manager. I've never felt any, discrimination because I'm a woman. So that support system from your manager, from your team has always been there. And I feel that's a big part of my growth.
On this flow, I just kind of wanted to mention real quick. I've noticed, being a part of my team as well, I've noticed that we don't really look at ourselves as anybody different. So why is it that way? Well, because computers don't care. The code that I write doesn't care what gender I am. The code that I write doesn't care which language I speak, and the software that comes out of it speaks louder than any words. So our contributions and our I guess confidence that we bring coming into this field is what makes this field richer, and what in its turn supports us as well.
Jayita.
Personally, my husband is my big support system. So when I have things come up at work that need me to rearrange my day or my responsibilities as a parent, he picks up the slack, he has my back, and we support each other. And from the work front, Solution Street as a company it offers great support in terms of flexibility, which gives us an opportunity to strike a nice work-life balance, and also the environment in the company such that everybody respects everybody and we treat each other well and have fun. And that goes a long way in terms of making you feel at home and bring out the best in you.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, it's the same way as well with everyone. I mean, in my team, I don't think it matters if I'm a woman or a man. You know, I have a voice, and they listen, or at least they hear me, hear me. So I think it really matters. And then with the family, of course, my family is my big support. And aside from that, is I really like how we formed this group, the Women's of Solution Street group. I really like this one where I know I can, send a question or post something or talk to someone, which, kind of like a girl thing, so I really like that one too. So that's a good one. Good for me too.
Awesome. I love the keywords that everyone has mentioned here. Inclusion, inclusivity. I love that. A lot of companies these days, corporations, management, diversity, equality, and inclusion. These are like the top things that these companies want to make sure they have it in their management lead, in their leadership um, group, because we all know that a diverse leadership group is a winning group. So whether by gender, by race, or whatever background you're from, if you have a diverse group, it's definitely going to help win the win in your industry. I love the Women of Solution Street group that we have. We're not alone in this. It's definitely, especially now that we're all isolated, socially distant, it's even more important right now that we connect with each other, we support each other, especially women or non-binary individuals. Yeah, because we have each other, and we just gotta reach out, and we know that someone is there for whatever question that we have. So I love all that. All right, let's talk about some software engineering questions here. All right, I know that some of us here help with interviews at Solution Street at our company. So I want to ask you, what do you think are the qualities that make a good software engineer? Jayita.
I think analytical skills is something that's like taken for granted. As a software engineer, you are supposed to come with that. But apart from that, I think something that's really important is communication skills. Because as a software engineer, we sort of work backwards. By that, what I mean is you try to find the problem, and then we use the software part, software technologies to find a solution. So unless you know the problem that the company or the client has, you won't be able to provide the correct solution. So I feel, and especially since we are a consulting company, unless you are asking the right questions and getting the right answers from your client and providing the right solution, and that can only happen if you have the correct communication skill to get the right answer and ask the right questions. I think that is very critical, and not just as talking to a client, but also within your team too.
And to piggyback on what Jayita said, yeah, you have to be a good listener too. So sometimes you have to pick up on things that the client is subtly saying or not saying, or he doesn't know how to express, and then you catch on to those things, and then ask smart questions to get the right information so you can work towards the common goal. And of course, problem solving skills, analytical skills, communication skills, and passion, the never give up attitude. That sometimes you run into roadblocks, and those are difficult at times, but then you keep going, and with persistence, you solve problems.
Yeah, it's like for me, like as simple as if they want to ask how do they gonna ask something if something is not clear? Let's say if you ask a question and it's not clear to them, how are they gonna follow up with that, to make them understand it? I think that's a good thing, because sometimes you see that they just do something. Let's say you ask a question, you do this, and then they just start coding, doing something, but that's not what you're asking. So it's kind of like miscommunication too. It's like part of what they're saying as well. So it's good to ask questions to clarify.
I think you have to be a team player too. Um, almost all software development, you're on some sort of team or working at least with one client. So I think you have to be a team player, work well with others.
Taking a step back to passion, I just wanted to very quickly note one thing. For lack of a better term, the spark in the eye is what I'm always looking in candidates for, because if you're passionate about something, be it quirky or nerdy or argumentative, even in some cases, we are passionate about you. We want to have people that are interested in the field, and we want to have people that are interested in what they're doing. So if you have a nickname for your computer, we love you.
Yeah. Another thing, I mean, addition to that, I say consistency, because sometimes what they're saying is not what you see on what they're performing kind of thing. So it's like confusing in our part too. So just make sure that you say what you know, you say what you think, I guess, that you can perform properly. Yeah.
Like
just clarification.
Yeah, like your resume says one thing, but your skill says the other. It's better that your skills show better than your resume, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's better to maybe lower yourself a little bit, maybe, and then perform better. And then the interviewer would say, "Wow, okay, she's really good," something like that.
And never rate yourself as a 10. 10 is the
I love that question.
Then you're awesome.
I know, yeah.
You're setting up yourself for failure then if you're ready.
Yes, and under promise and over deliver, I guess is what we're saying there.
That's the word.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so for our next question here, if you were going to recommend whether a programming language or a technology in general to anyone who's whether starting out in their career in tech or are seasoned developers already, what would that be? What language or technology would you recommend for someone to learn? Jayita.
So it all depends on what your areas of interest are. Some people like doing front end, some people like doing back end work. So you have to experiment and see where your interests and strengths lie. But if I have to pick a language, then I would say go for JavaScript. I mean, you don't need to download anything, install anything. You just need to have internet and a browser. You can start coding and run your code to see what you've written. And JavaScript is the basis for so many wonderful frameworks out there: Node.js, Ember.js, Vue.js, Angular, React, which are fast becoming the hot new technologies that people are using. So I would say go for JavaScript. In fact, I taught my son JavaScript, and he's written the memory game, and he's written chess, the chess game, and yeah, JavaScript, just JavaScript and HTML. So I would say go for that.
Very nice.
So for me, I totally agree with Jayita, but I would say to start with, maybe you could start with, like, if you really don't know what to do or what to take, but you're really interested in programming or computer, you start with fundamentals like algorithm, problem solving, because those are the core. If you know that, you could probably go with anything, any programming languages, and then try a little bit of everything, like do front end, back end, database, machine learning, AI, and what you feel like doing, because passion and your passion to do something will gonna drive you to do better on that one. Yeah. So for the technology right now, I've heard cybersecurity is good. So if someone is interested to do that, data mining and stuff like that. So those are really good. But for me, I fall in love with Java, C#. So that's my core programming languages. I'll stay there forever. That's kind of safe, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Fundamentals. Any language. Once you have the fundamentals, it'll be easy. Yes, Olga.
After you've already figured out what you like, after you've already tried out the languages, tried functional programming, tried object-oriented programming, and just are looking to compare or get into a fun argument with your coworkers. One little life hack that I think I learned sometime while I was still an intern in Solution Street is go into Insights, stackoverflow.com trends, and just typing in whichever framework you're interested in to tag words. or more than one, and comparing how the statistics have been going year after year. I mean, this is just one of those statistical resources for you, but it's kind of a fun tool. And I just kind of ran it between Ruby on Rails, my favorite, and Django, and Ruby is going downhill, which makes me very sad, but hey, React is on the rise. So this could be used as a potential tool to determine where the public's questions are at. Hence, where's the buzz?
Awesome. If you don't mind, Olga, could you type that link in the chat window for our audience here to
Sure.
check out? Thank
Let
you.
me-
Yes, Jayita.
So
keyword.
from experience, I would say what I've learned is having some back-end experience, in the sense having some database knowledge, then some solid programming knowledge of back-end programming knowledge, and having some front-end, like Jayita mentioned, JavaScript, some Node.js, that kind of knowledge will give you a really solid, as a software engineer, you would, very marketable, I would say. You will be a very marketable. So.
Nice.
Yeah, usually I see it's like a package. It's like if you're a full stack developer, that's what we usually call it. You have a knowledge of
Full
UI, backend, and then database. So it's like one whole package.
Yeah, very nice. I want to add something, and I'm not a panelist, I'm the moderator, but I want to add some stuff too. Blockchain has been something that I'm interested in, and I remember this especially some time ago. I attended a meetup group somewhere in Reston, Virginia, and I got there, and like the speaker looked at the audience and they were like, he was like, welcome everyone. I'm glad that we have a very diverse group here. It was all white males and me. So so I remember this very timely for this talk, but I'm very new to blockchain as well, but I did a tech session on that. I don't know if we still have that available in our YouTube channel, Solution Street, but it was introduction to blockchain, and that's something that I'm still learning more. And I want to know if we have anyone in the audience who's interested in blockchain as well. I'd like to connect with y'all.
Yeah, I'm interested on that, the blockchain.
Yeah.
Token, stuff like that. Yeah, so that's really cool. My husband was talking to me the other day and he's asking me to build a programming thing with the token and blockchain. It's like, okay. I don't know yet, but I'll learn.
Does having a minor
That's
count
cool.
be interested?
A minor? Yeah, that's how it all got started for me.
Right. It's like you learn a lot. I mean, you're gonna earn a lot. Like, like, okay, well, let me check on that one because I have no background on that yet. That's interesting.
Yeah. One other technology that I want to add to our list here, lots of cloud technologies these days. I know our Solution Street, especially, we are a Microsoft Azure partner and AWS partner. And especially I've been listening to some virtual panels as well, especially because of the pandemic. Businesses are really like realizing that they can do a lot of their businesses online and virtual and remote, and there's more and more need to on virtual resources for whatever their business needs are. So that's definitely something that's also timely these days. So if you're past the development language, definitely learning cloud is something to explore as well. So awesome. So I have here our my last question, but before I bring it up, I want to mention here in our chat window, there's an opportunity for our audience to ask questions to our panelists. So please do that here, and I'll definitely ask that right after our last question here. So my last question for the group, what has been your biggest career accomplishment and or biggest learning opportunity? Srilata.
Every day that I learned something new in terms of even a small concept in the technology or framework that I use daily, but did not know, or maybe even brought in terms a new technology to help support a new project at work, feels like an accomplishment. And every time you see a project that you worked on contributed to go into production, that feels good. But if I have to pick one thing, then I would say doing or getting my master's while working full-time was my biggest accomplishment. It was overwhelming, but at the same time, I had the energy and drive and was raring to go. And now when I look back at those times, I feel nostalgic and I can still feel the nervous excitement in me. So this line of work has afforded me the flexibility and comfort to do my master's while working full time. So yeah, that was that. And did you also say my biggest learning opportunity?
Yeah.
That came when I was working for a company called Digital Focus at the time. I was thrown into a project that I knew very little about in terms of technology and domain as well. And that was my first introduction to agile methodologies. And I was the junior most on the team. The team was about 15 to 20 people, and we all sat in one big conference room. They did pair programming and test-driven development. I learned a lot in a very short amount of time, and I loved being on that team. It was a judgment-free zone, and there was a healthy exchange of ideas. Essentially, I learned how to fish from my peers, and I never went hungry.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Larry.
So on top of Srilata, what she said, like I'm all onto that. It was like seeing your project that you work on for months or even years, that you became useful, to a lot of people. That's like a very great, a nice feeling, like a happy feeling. And you see that your client is happy, it makes me happy too. And of course, Solution Street is happy. So everyone is happy. It's happy like that. So with the learning curve, I mean, I've learned to, even though small thing, to a lot of projects that I've worked on. But one thing that I missed that I've done is the code camp, where I have attended a couple like way back years before. I don't think they do that anymore right now in Maryland, where there's a 3 days where it's like you go in there and you help it's a nonprofit charity organization where you code for nonprofit organization. It's for 3 days. Like they usually start Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which they go from very various technologies of what do they need. Usually WordPress, because that's the easy one. You can finish in 3 days or 2 days or something like that. So it's one thing that right before that program ends or that charity event ends, there's like a what do you call that, acknowledgement at the end where they thank everyone. So it's kind of like, even though just like a simple thing, small things that you've done to them, and they give you like they really appreciate what you've done to them. So a little bit of appreciation is really good. Like that one.
I think I remember that. We have a little bit of history about that. I want to talk about that after this
Yeah.
call.
Yeah, that one. So
Yeah.
so that's really good. I missed that one because it's like 3 days. It's like sometimes they sleep in the event area.
Yeah.
I think I did it one time, but then I go back home, just take a shower and come back.
Right. Yeah.
That was cool.
Jayita.
For me, I cannot point to a single achievement. I think every project is like an achievement, or I would say it's like a child. So building the project from ground up, architecting it, seeing it growing and going from planning to production, and then seeing it going live and the happiness it brings, and then having an after production party, I think is the biggest joy.
Love that. Olga.
I think one of the biggest things I've learned that I was incredibly baffled about when I joined the field, when I joined Solution Street, was that being a software engineer is not just sitting there in the corner and coding. It's actually a lot of talking to people. It's a lot of interactions. It's trying to figure out what the problem is, first of all, and then come up with a great solution for it and communicate it in a I like to call it human language, because sometimes it does break into technical lingo that not everybody understands. So that's the learning thing. And the achievement, again, very hard to pinpoint, but I feel like just with projects, sharing your experience and watching people around you learn and grow is also a huge achievement. Being involved in Solution Street internship program, I have helped a bunch of kids over the summer, or just kind of like taking over for me and becoming the new interns to learn and very quickly develop their skills as developers and as communicators. And on that note, where I think somebody mentioned that kids nowadays grasp sciences and computer science much faster. So true. Every time we get interns, they're just brighter and brighter and brighter. So that makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um, what was I going to say here? I love what you guys said about our system going into production. It also feels when a project didn't get to production, maybe the client didn't have any budget all the way to the end or something, and like we worked hard on it and it didn't get to production. It feels so personal for us. It's definitely our work. It's
Mhm.
this isn't something we just do for for pay. Like we love it. This is our craft, and it definitely feels
It's
good
like
when
our
it gets to
baby. I think you
production.
mentioned it
Yeah,
the last time. Yeah,
absolutely.
it's like a baby. I worked on it, or
It has,
everyone worked on it.
sometimes it's also happened to me where you start on a project and it has not gone to production because of budget issues. But then you look at it as it was an experience, it was a learning experience, and what did I get out of it, even if it did not. So you just have to keep a positive attitude.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, we have some great questions here from our audience here. So let me start. Let me start here from the first one here from Jeff. Um, where and or how can the industry improve with respect to supporting women in software development and programming? So you might not see this on your chat. It was only sent to me. Where or how can the industry improve with respect to supporting women in software development and programming? What do we think about that?
I think it's already improving, saying that we're all here and having a discussion.
Mhm.
But I also feel like it might be a gradual process depending on where you are at. Here, it's probably one of the better places, I think, in California, probably as well. But I feel like it's the culture that just needs to stop putting any labels and putting any specific genders or specific even wanting, oh hey, let's diversify. What does that mean? Just hire the person if they're great. And there's more and more really talented girls joining the computer science field. I've actually kind of observed it while going to school as next year freshmen, sophomores roll in, more and more girls, and that made me incredibly happy. And just talking to them and telling them, hey, you should start looking for internships at maybe the freshman year, at the sophomore year, so that you can get all that experience and feel very confident and very strong about yourself. Because you know what? You might not think you belong yet, but you do, because you're the one who picked this profession. So just to give a very short answer, I think it's starting, and I think it's starting with us. And whatever we say and whatever we do is going to make this better the more we participate and the more we are vocal about it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna add something to that too, in a way that let's say if you're gonna hire women, let's say most of the women, let's say in my age, is like moms or starting to have a family. So there's like a little bit of like I mean I don't know, like a change in a way that, or requirements. Like I really like how Solution Suite have a flexible schedule in a way that I could work around my schedule to that. Let's say if my son has an appointment, I could take off or step out for like a couple of hours or something and then work again in the afternoon, which is really great. So I really like that system that we have in Solution Street. And I think it's kind of like wrapping it up to what the, let's say, women's kind of need to in a way to that. So because, as we build and grow and build our family, for example, so that's really great. Yeah, we continue to do that to attract more women to work to work, because I can work and build my family.
Absolutely.
Start my family, right?
Kelly, you have something
I
to
think
add?
in addition to offering internships and also and keeping flexibility for women that are also trying to raise children, I think also, perhaps after this pandemic is over, if employers can allow employees to continue working from home, I think that might help a lot of women and men, maybe even. Hopefully the children will go back to school, but if the parents get a couple more hours in their day, if they don't have to commute and things like that, when it's feasible. Sometimes it isn't feasible for certain projects and certain clients, but where possible, if employers could offer that flexibility as well. And then I think also supporting continuing education. And again, not only for women, but for men too, you know, like Srilatha went back and got a master's. If employers can support those initiatives, they're going to get better employees and everybody's happy. So that's my thoughts.
I love those. I love also I think it was you, Olga, you mentioned like young girls and any way that we can do to inspire young girls. I volunteered to this nonprofit organization called Girl Develop It, helping other, especially young women, learn how to code. Um, Aside from also like learning to code, us women being here where we are, that also helps young girls because they can see themselves like, oh wow, I can be like that someday. I see someone in the leadership positions, I can see them on TV or whatever. We're not on TV right now. We're sitting on a computer. But whenever they see someone that they can relate to, that's definitely something that that will help younger generations to be able to improve that, having more women in this field. So awesome. Yes, Olga.
Very quick note on that. You actually reminded me, speaking of young people possibly with less experience, and this is not just women in the field problem. This is a problem that we started having recently in the field. There's a huge gatekeeping barrier for a person to get into a software development job. And a lot of times nobody wants to take a chance on a junior dev. Even a junior dev has to have already 1 or 2 years worth of experience. And I don't think there's either enough education at the college level where the students are told, hey, guys, you should probably seek out an internship, not in your 4th year, but in your 2nd year. Or businesses need to take a chance on the particular candidate if they seem like they are competitive, like they're smart, they're strong. We have a number of candidates at Solution Street. We actually have several employees that different genders, doesn't matter, didn't graduate from computer science, just either took a few courses at MIT, just the online free courses, or took a coding bootcamp. And Solution Street took a chance on their greatest developers I've ever known. So just taking a chance on the person, even if they feel like they're not very far ahead in their career, might make a huge change in the field for both men and women.
I love that. I love that. All right. For our next question here, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting your career as a woman in tech? I like this question. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting your career as a woman in tech?
That's a tough one.
I'm gonna start here. Again, I'm not a not a panelist, but I love these questions. I just wanna chime in on this. When I was starting, I definitely have a lot of imposter syndrome in me. And for those who don't know, imposter syndrome is when you feel like you're a fraud. Like you don't know, like, why are you here? Like you feel like everyone else is deserved it and you don't deserve it, but then
like you're doubting yourself of your capability.
Exactly, yeah. And I was starting out, I'm just like, why am I here? But as I learned as I had gained more experience, everybody is really just like that. You don't know a lot of things, and then you just really learn them as you're in the field. And one of the things that one of the advices I received, best advices that I received is, just treat everyone as your equal, whether they have so many years of experience. There's some technology that they don't know, and you can still work with them. Don't really be what's the word I'm looking for, intimidated by these other people in this field. It's whether you have a master's degree or you just learned from a boot camp 6 months ago. Don't doubt yourself. You can definitely achieve more in this field, as long as you have the passion to learn anything, because you can really do and learn anything in a very short period of time in this field. So I opened that up. So I hope everyone can add. Yes, go ahead, Srilatha.
I totally agree with you. And oftentimes you think you know less than what you actually do. So that also contributes to that feeling too. But then when you are up against a challenge, you most assuredly will take that challenge up and will rise up to it.
Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very good one. Yes.
Love that.
Yeah, just to expand on that, sometimes it takes 5 minutes to ask a good question and resolve the entire problem. Then if you just kept silent and tried to research and figure it out on your own for 5 hours. Everybody's accepting, everybody's happy to help. There's, just like we say, there's no stupid questions.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, when I'm starting, I would say I'm like a shy kind of thing. Like, you know, I'm the person who'll be maybe the last person to ask or not to ask at all. To ask at all. So I've learned that, you know, like what everyone is saying, you have to voice out. You have to ask. You have to like to better understand what they're saying. So don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Get more courage and ask a question. I mean, it's better to, you know, practice yourself first before you talk to someone or before you ask a question. But that's something that you shouldn't hold back because it's very important, like, you know, to be more open and communicative with someone.
Yes.
Well, what I have learned, well, when I entered this field, I didn't realize you have to be a little assertive, which I wasn't before. Probably still not there yet, but I've learned to be more assertive than before. And, you know, as you go to, you know, more managerial positions as a woman, you, what do I say? Asking or getting your answers in a more nicer way or a more diplomatic way, I would say. That's my answer.
I love that. We're all, even up to now, we're a work in progress. So, you know, we are continuing to improve. So really don't be scared to yeah, start out somewhere and you'll just get better eventually. So I love all that. Right. So we have one more question here. Pretty long. So let me give me some some time here. In my past decade or so of experience, I've only ever interviewed 2 female candidates. Okay, I love where this question is going. In both these cases, I approved their hiring, but we sadly lost out to competing offers. What tips and or advice do the panelists have to help us attract more female candidates into our hiring process? What do the panelists look for when applying to positions?
Offer them higher. Joke.
Well, we talked about that a little bit earlier in Jeff's question, you know, offering flexibility for their time and maybe their work location and, you know, supporting continuing education and taking a chance on, you know, in fact, they were willing to hire them, but yeah. Have a good company culture, all those things.
I want to add here, just ask very simple, very simple answer there is ask them ask them, what do you need? What can I help
what
you
they're
with?
looking for.
Yeah, what are you looking for? And maybe, you know, because women or anyone really are in different stages in our lives, like someone who's just starting a family or someone who's ready to go back to work. So what do you need that will work for you, and we'll figure something out. I think that's very important, that conversation to ask what those candidates need. So any more additional answers or questions? I think that's the last question that you have. If you all right. Okay. I see one more question here. We have about 5 minutes left, which is good for our closing here. Last question. Can you share some experiences about being in a group of developers in which men significantly outnumbered women? Was this an uncomfortable experience or an opportunity? Ooh, yes, Olga. I see the raise of hands right immediately.
So this is not at Solution Street, but rather I went on a pretty large conference, and it was very much this kind of typical managerial middle-aged man sort of type of meetup. In fact, it's in Las Vegas, so you can see the attraction there. So one of the things I noticed when I was communicating, I was coming up to like different kinds of booths where the companies were telling about their technology and about what they're using, what they're doing to change the world and things like that. So whenever I would come in, they would look at me like, "Little girl, are you lost?" So this was a very intimidating feeling that I got every time that I would come to a booth and ask a technical question and just receive this look of weirded out, like, what's going on here? Are you just here lost? Are you just here because you like the shiny? So at first it was strange. It was a several days worth of conference. The first day it was really weird. It was very hard going around and just keep catching those looks. The second day it became kind of a noise. The third day it became fun. It kind of turned into fun because you know what, it's almost kind of like a game because you get to prove yourself. You get to come in, have an intelligence conversation, and you get accepted. It's actually very confidence boosting to try and do this this kind of thing from time to time because and it doesn't really matter whether you're a man or a woman. In some cases, you feel very intimidated by the surrounding atmosphere, and just throwing yourself in there, as hard as it was for me, was probably one of the better things that I could have done in that kind of situation. It was very hard coming up to this guy and asking him something very, very specific to what he was doing, but at the same time, seeing the kind of hearing the reciprocation and hearing the interest in what I'm doing and the conversation continue was very, very, very rewarding.
Yeah, it was an opportunity.
I would say initially when I was starting long time back, and in software engineering, almost like 90% of the projects, I would find myself to be the only woman in the team. All of them, the rest of them are men. So when I was starting out, yes, it was intimidating, but then you grow that confidence that I am as good as the rest of them, and I can solve them as well as the rest of the team can. So your confidence just grows over time. And now it doesn't really matter who's in the team, whether it's a man or a woman or whoever is there. So, and I'm saying this for someone who's a female who's coming new, who's planning to take up software engineering. Doesn't matter. You just have to have that self-confidence and belief in yourself, and you can just get there.
So there have this like a sad feeling where it's kind of like look can be deceiving, because I remember that when Olga was saying this, kind of like walk into the room. I actually experienced a lot of that going to the conference mostly. It's kind of like they have that look that, I don't know, they're just staring. I guess. But it doesn't really bother me because I'm used to it. I guess because I started college, we're like 4. I mean, I started with like 40 in the class and we're only like 4 or 5 that was girls. So I'm used to it up till now. So it doesn't really bother me at all. But yeah, it sometimes it gets to you. You have the bad day where, why are they staring at me?
And sometimes it may not be that they're looking at you with that thought in their head too. It's just that we are projecting our imposter syndrome onto them and then think that, okay, oh yeah, they're giving me that look. So you just have to get over it. And then if you have any questions, just put yourself out there, ask questions, get to know more. And that's how you'll feel included in the team. And
Not
then get over that barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's our own, we do tend to project our own insecurities on whatever situation we're in. So.
Sometimes it's just in our head too, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they're looking at me. Oh, what are they what are they thinking and stuff like that? But they really don't care. So just think of something else that will make you feel better, and project yourself better where what you are.
It starts with us, right? It's
Yes,
normal to
that's
have the
true.
women here. So for them, if we
It's
show that,
normal.
it's normal.
Yeah. It is normal to feel anxious sometimes, to feel nervous, I'm nervous right now.
Yeah. Well, we have reached the end of the hour. I want to thank our panelists here for your time today. I really enjoyed our talk today. I wish we had more time. I also want to thank our audience who asked great questions for our panel today. Just before we go, a little bit of our plug here at Solution Street. We are always looking for great people to join our team. We have several open positions, so we would love to talk to you, whether you're a developer or a business analyst, a quality analyst, a project manager. Cherry here, she has put her information at the top, or maybe she will put here again. But connect with us on LinkedIn, subscribe to our newsletter, and we hope to stay in touch with you all. Again, thank you everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your night or day wherever you are in the world, and stay safe, everyone. We're all in here. We're all in this together. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you here. Bye.